Well, welcome to my channel. This is Angel Michael. Today I have a very strange and disturbing article I want to talk about. It's it's called University of Texas to Treat Masculinity as a Mental Health Issue by the writer's name is Rick Moran, and the article came out today. The article states that there's a new program at the University of Texas Counseling and Mental Health Center will promote healthy masculinity through public events, educational workshops, and other forms of student involvement. The goal is to impact campus culture to increase acceptance of gender diversity, promote healthy relationships with an emphasis on consent, and prevent interpersonal violence. Okay, let's go over what some of this is actually saying here. Healthy masculinity, and I'll get into what their definition of healthy masculinity is in a minute. And pushing gender diversity. Yeah, they want everybody to be a transgender freak, is what they want. They want everybody to be not just accepting, but they want everybody to turn gay or queer or whatever. And this help prevent interpersonal violence. They really could care less about interpersonal violence. It's all about control. And I'll finish reading the article. PJ Media. The program is predicated on a critique of so-called restrictive masculinity, according to them. Men, the program argues, suffer when they are told to act like a man or when they are encouraged to fulfill traditional gender roles, such as being successful or the breadwinner. Yeah, I've been seeing this sort of thing for a long time now. That women are getting all these high-paying jobs and pushing all the guys out. They're basically flipping the roles to turning women into men and men into women. That's my commentary. Though you might enjoy taking care of people or being active, Masculine UT warns that many of these attributes are actually dangerous, claiming traditional ideas of masculinity place men into rigid or restrictive boxes, which prevent them from developing their emotional maturity. I don't agree with any of these comments that these people are saying. I don't really know anybody that's been that strictly rigid with basically saying that guys cannot have feelings or guys can't have jobs that are more prone towards being in a caring position like women have. So they're off the rocker. Let me finish reading this for you. If you are a male student at UT reading this article, we hope that learning about this helps you to not feel guilty about having participated in these definitions of masculinity, and instead feel empowered to break the cycle the program offers. Please, this is getting ridiculous. This program is currently without leadership, but not for long. The school is in the process of hiring a healthy masculinities coordinator to run the program, and a school official tells PJ Media that some hopeful hirees are interviewing for the position later this week. Yeah, I wonder who. Some faggot, excuse me for being ugly, some transgendered freak. While many schools now have similar programs, this appears to be in the first run directly out of the Counseling and Mental Health Center. Though the school seems to justify this by claiming that masculinity can cause men to lash out at other people and themselves, the school don't respond to a request for comment to clarify. So, what is healthy masculinity? Well, I'll show you a poster in a minute of what they deem to be healthy masculinity. There's a poster here of a young black man with flowers all over the place. There's the recent trend that's been going on Twitter called carefree black boy aesthetic, where men who are traditionally masculine have flowers in their beard or something. I'm glad that that they're trying to expand what masculinity looks like, but I wish it went further than that. Okay. Flowers in their beard or something. This is healthy. There is no evidence that masculinity itself contributes to violence. Universities that run similar programs, such as the one at UNC Chapel Hill and Northwestern, have admitted that their programming isn't supported by any evidence. Of course not. There is no evidence. These are all leftist idiots. I'm surprised that their picture didn't look like this picture right here. This is from a CoverGirl article. It's called Cover Boy. And this is the kind of thing they're pushing today. And yeah, believe it or not, that is a boy. I don't know how old he is. I guess he's probably in his late teens, early 20s. Wearing lipstick, wearing makeup, and basically looking like a woman. So, yeah, this is what they're pushing. They're trying to turn men into women and women into men. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. Yes, but men sure look pretty with flowers in their beards, don't they? Oh, please. This is just another effort by the left to deny or try to change human nature. It would be funny if it weren't so futile. There are physical, biological, and chemical attributes that men and women have that are just totally different. No amount of healthy masculinity programs will alter that singular effect. There are men who act like pigs. There are men who are a genuine threat to women, but it's not because of their masculinity, but rather the male role models that they grew up with. There is nothing inherent in men that causes them to treat women and other people with disrespect or be unkind. This institution is run by a bunch of freaks, leftist retards who basically despise men, and probably the majority of them are feminists, because I'm pretty sure, and the feminists are not just females, there are also plenty of male feminists too, and they're all liberal leftist morons. They have no idea. It's just beyond my imagination to think about how stupid these people are. They want to deny basic science and biology and say that there is no difference between men and women. Well, we obviously know there is. I mean, there's scientific proof. And I mean, we can show papers after paper, and as well as, you know, everybody knows that a man has a penis and a woman has a vagina. That's kind of obvious. Not to mention other things that they're different. But even the brains of men and women are completely different. I mean, they're wired differently. And they want to basically try, through their social programming, to turn men into women and women into men. It's just completely ridiculous. Of course, the real issue here is not just because they're loopy in the head. These people are basically controlled by demons. This is a spiritual battle. But I just wanted to show you that this is supposed to be a state. Texas is a pretty conservative state. But it seems like all the colleges all over the whole country, even in conservative areas, are basically being run by leftist freaks. I tell you, I don't have any documentation in front of me, but I've done enough research to know that these schools that have all of these leftists in them are being funded by George Soros. You know, he's a globalist, and he's pushing the New World Order. And the main reason why that they're doing what they're doing, trying to turn men into women and women into men, there's several different reasons. First, because these people are Satanists. They worship Lucifer, and it's against God's law for men and women to dress and act like each other. You just go back to the Old Testament and look up the law. There's actually a law in Leviticus that says it's an abomination for a man to dress like a woman and vice versa. So they're basically, you know, sticking their middle finger up at God. Um, and of course, we also know that it's much easier. Well, let's just put it this way: who makes up the majority of men in the military? Men, of course. And we all know, biologically speaking, men are stronger and have a stronger will than most women do. So they are the ones that are in the military. So if you're going to take over a country, what's the best way of doing that? Is to weaken all the men, pass laws to make it more and more difficult for men to be in the workplace, basically to kick them out of their jobs. So they have no finances and any, they have kicked them out of the homes. Men's are not earning in the home. The women are dependent. A lot of the single mothers, they don't, they're being paid by the government. They kick the man out. They can't have the money coming in. They can't have a man in the house paying plus the government. So they kick them out. And so the government is now daddy, and they want everybody to be dependent on the government. A government powerful enough to give you everything is powerful enough to take it all away from you. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They have given all these incentives to these women throughout the years, starting back in the 60s. They indoctrinated these women through feminism by people like Gloria Steinem. He made it all seem like, oh, the evil patriarchy. Women were so abused in the past, and they keep bringing up all this garbage, and they have no proof whatsoever. It's all just hearsay, and of course there have always been bad men who abuse people, but that's a very small percentage of the population. Most men love their wives and other women, and don't abuse it. Plus the fact that we know, and I don't do your own research, and there have been laws for several hundred years, and even in the past there were laws. Even in ancient history, there were laws where men could not beat their wives severely. I mean, I think there was a law in Rome they were allowed to use a rod of instruction, but they used to do that with children too. But discipline is one thing, but they didn't go overboard. Of course, today it's the opposite. You can't even touch a child without considering it to be abuse. And what gets me is how people who really are abusive can do it behind closed doors and nobody ever finds out about it. So it's just a topsy-turvy mess that we're in. Anyway, back to the article. Like I was saying, that this whole attack on masculinity is basically because being used as a ploy to weaken men, and there's a lot of other ways that they're doing it. I found articles as well, which if you do your own research, you'll find that basically everything that we eat out of today is plastic. And there's a chemical of some sort, I cannot remember, it's called PBAs, I forgot what that stands for. Some of you guys will probably already know. But it comes out of the plastic, and it goes into the drink or food that you're eating, and it's basically an estrogen. It mimics the estrogen. It's an estrogen mimic, and it creates huge amounts of extra estrogen that goes into the body. And men do not need extra estrogen because it causes a lot of health issues. Women don't either, because if they get too much estrogen, they get cancer. Of course, men get cancer from it too. But it causes infertility in men. And with all that extra estrogen, it basically turns men into women. It feminizes them, because I hear stories all the time about men having low testosterone levels. Then they start behaving like women. They get all moody and cranky, and and it's all the time. It's not just once a month. But and the infertility rates, and that's the reason why we have so many people that are pushing all these Viagra pills, because Guys, ever since the 1940s, when they started introducing plastics into our society, drinking bottles and food containers, uh, all this plastic is producing all this extra estrogen that we don't need as men. It's polluting our system, and the fertility rates have plummeted. Um, the average, if I remember correctly what I read, it says the average man, by the time they're 40, have the levels of testosterone in their system is about the same as an 80-year-old man. So that's pretty bad. And now we have younger and younger men who, because of taking all of this excessive amount of pseudo estrogen, or no, I think they also call it xenoestrogen, but it is fake estrogen that's made by this chemical that comes out of the plastic. But the leaders of this country know this. I mean, this is common knowledge. If you do your own research, there are lots and lots and lots of different places that have published papers on this phenomenon, and it's very similar in the destructive nature of our society as it was. Compare it to what happened to the Roman Empire. Italy had a big problem of too much lead in the water, and lead in the water causes women to have children that have all kinds of terrible birth defects. So, and it basically destroyed a whole generation of Romans. And the same thing is happening in the modern day with plastics. But of course, the Romans eventually figured it out and corrected the problem. But you know what? Our government doesn't feel like correcting anything. They like to see Americans destroyed because our leaders are basically Satanists. They don't care about people. They'd rather see us all wiped out. They all worship Lucifer, and Lucifer is the enemy. He hates people and would rather see us all burn in hell. And I believe that our leaders are the same way. They're all lunatics, completely psychopathic. And of course people will say, oh, that's conspiracy. Well, look at how they behave. Do your research and find out about all this pedophilia that goes on behind closed doors. Our leadership are just evil to the core. And that is the reason, excuse me, that is the reason why we are having all this problem in this country of attack on men. They're attacking men because who else is going to stand up to all this nonsense, all these communists that are trying to take over this country, trying to create their one world government? People like George Soros, the Rockefeller Foundation, all of these people, they're trying to bring about their one world order and their master Lucifer as the god of this world. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. That's what's going on. But anyway, I wanted to bring this to your attention and be interested in seeing what you have to say. And I'm going to post these pictures and a link to the article for you to look this up and for a little more details about it. But anyway, thanks for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.